Hello. I thought that I would do a quick little update. Yeah. Look at, I'm back to eating ground beef. Not every day, but once in a while, when I think I can tolerate it, I eat it. So I'm gonna eat some today and catch you guys up on a little bit of whatever. Yeah, there we go. It's so dim. It's so dim in here. It's actually pretty bright for whatever reason. My camera doesn't want to play nice. So this is how I prep. If you guys are new, this is how I prep eating raw meat. Is I just open the package and I eat it. I remember when I first started posting raw meat videos, and a really big question people had was, well, how do you prepare it so that it's safe to eat? I just eat it. I let my stomach acid worry about the safety of it. So yeah, I'll try to remember to include a link to, I wrote an article about if eating raw meat's safe. According to the CDC data, you're like 5,000 times more likely to get sick eating any kind of raw produce than eating raw meat, which was a big surprise. Actually, what surprised me the most when I looked it up was that you're really, really likely to get hepatitis from raw strawberries. That's a big risk factor. Okay, let's try to adjust the brightness again. It keeps dimming on me, whatever. And then going out of focus. I was in a meeting earlier and I was trying to write a bullet list, and it was really bothering me because every time I'd start a new bullet, the styling on the text was huge and bold and just really wonky. I don't know why it was distracting me so much today, but it was really bothering me, and my coworker goes, "We can fix the styling later, just make sure to get the notes." And it kind of feels like one of those moments. But yeah, so I'm back to eating some raw meats and having a craving for it, a taste for it, and not feeling like I'm gonna be sick. Like nausea, which has been a huge issue with just eating in general for me. So it's not necessarily specific to raw. But this makes me so happy because the quicker I can get back to eating all raw meat, the quicker I can get my fitness back. And in general, everything improves with raw for me. So better sleep, better energy, mood, mental clarity. My happiness goes through the roof. My skin looks better, my hair is better, my muscles, I can put muscles on a way easier going to the gym, doing weight training, than when I'm eating a mixed diet. So yeah, this has me really excited. Let's see, what else is new? I went on my first acid trip. This last weekend. It was not anything like how it's portrayed in the movies or in art or any kind of visuals to mainstream. It was so lovely and gentle and lovely. It was really enjoyable. I definitely had some ego death stuff going on in it. Some emotional stuff come up. Walked away from it really thinking deeply about who I am, where I'm at, what I want, what I'm doing, and wanting to be better. Just infinitely better is now my new goal. And then I did a short DMT session yesterday, which was really interesting. Very different experience than I've ever had before. A lot of giggling and laughing, and the visuals were very interesting. All of the stuff that came up for the most part was all positivity and love, and like I was finally able to set aside the dark, sad parts and have this really enjoyable journey. And then there was something interesting that came up in it. I'm working on editing it. I think I'm going to post it to YouTube. I recorded the whole thing. It's about an hour total, but once I edit it down to cut out, like quiet pauses and stuff, it'll be quite a bit shorter. In part of it, I was like, maybe I'm a clock. Like just this realization of like, maybe I'm a clock. Maybe I'm a clock. What does it mean if I'm a clock? I still don't know what it means if I'm a clock. So maybe if you guys have any thoughts on that, you can leave it in the comments. But I thought that was really interesting. Something you'll notice that if you've been around here for a while, which is awesome, thank you. I appreciate you watching and subscribing and putting up with my weird, quirky, random posts and journey. But something you'll notice is that in my old videos when I was eating raw ground beef, I salted it, and now I don't salt my meat. And with the mercury poisoning, I don't tolerate sodium. It throws my electrolyte balance way out of whack. So I don't salt anything. Occasionally, obviously, I'll eat some things that have some sodium or salt in it, but I try to keep that pretty minimal. And when I was salting it, what happened was like, A, I was really dehydrated because my electrolytes were out of balance, but B, I bloated way up and I just felt really lethargic and depressed. So cutting it out made a huge difference. It took a couple days for it to kind of get out of my system and rebalance everything while taking in potassium and magnesium. But yeah, I don't salt it anymore, and I don't really feel the need to salt it for the flavor. Let's see, what else is new? On the acid trip, we kept going into these spaces that had a lot of art galleries, or artists in residence and things like that. And it really got me thinking, I need to get my shit together and get a series of art finished and get it into a gallery somewhere around here. Like, I need to stop sitting on it. So that's one really big thing I'm pushing on. I think the actual getting it into a gallery will be relatively simple. It's all the time involved in making the art, because I've been working on a series. I have a couple of items in it that a friend had asked about. Can I buy these from you? And I was like, no, I'm saving them I want to do a gallery show with these. And so there's kind of a general theme with them that I'm working on. But I still have several more pieces to make for it. And I keep running into people lately who are asking me about diet and how to fix their diet. A friend of mine had a heart attack and was asking me about carnivore and how to fix, because they want to put him on statins and, put him on the diet where he's only eating white foods and fucking weird shit. And he's Italian, so he's used to eating a lot of pasta and things like that. And so I sat down and we had some really good discussion about ideas for how he might be able to make it work. And then another friend who was talking about, I guess he's on statins too. He's really young. Um, but he was thinking about it because he doesn't sleep well and he has really bad acid reflux. Mm. So I had a neat conversation with him and even a few others that go to my gym. And so that's been interesting. That's been really interesting. I have to say, even though I wasn't able to stay 100% carnivore when I was at my sickest with mercury poisoning, staying as close to it as possible was probably the only reason I did as well as I did. I'm in this one group for people that are dealing with mercury poisoning and doing a specific protocol for healing. And I think there's at least 30,000 people in there, and just watching the stories and the testimonies of people in there, of what they're actively going through, and how little mercury they were probably exposed to with how bad their symptoms are compared to mine, is really wild. And then when I dig into like what they're eating, it's the mainstream health food, lots of super plant-based, lots of processed plant-based foods. They aren't necessarily vegan, but they minimize their animal proteins and things like that. And I wonder how much of it has a compounding effect. So it's really interesting to me. But I definitely think doing the raw meat, especially for as long as I did before I got sick, I think helped a lot along the way, because I had a strong foundation of a lot of muscle mass. I went into this with a lot of muscle mass. So even as I was losing weight, I had a lot more I could lose safely than if I had been, much smaller body at the time. Or like, what do they say, skinny fat? Where you're skinny but you don't really have much muscle on you, it's mostly just fat. I've been that before in my life. And then also a big thing that I did was, even as I was losing weight and I didn't really have a lot of energy to work out, what I prioritized doing was I still made sure I went into the gym at least once a week and did weight training. I didn't do any cardio because my adrenals just couldn't handle it. But I did as much weight training as I could without setting myself back. And so it was, I think that focus alone was really helpful, because I tried to minimize the muscle mass loss. And when you read research papers about aging and everything like that, they say that one of the number one predictors for having health complications as you age, like breaking a hip or coming down with a general illness or anything, is the amount of muscle mass you have. That's like the greatest predictor. So people that have less muscle mass as they age tend to have more health complications as well. And then the more muscle mass you have going into aging, the fewer complications. So that's always in the back of my mind. And that was a really big motivator for me of, I'm sick as fuck. I need to keep as much muscle on my body as possible to stay as healthy. So yeah, I would say that was huge. Mm, mm. I'm actually chelating right now. This is my last day of chelation for this round. So I do 3 days. So for the first 6 months, I was doing DMPS, which is a type of chelator. It's a big, long chemical name. I'm not going to try to remember. So I was doing DMPS, very low dose, oral supplement, not IV. You do not want to do these things IV. You don't want high mega doses like a lot of naturopaths push and shit. It's really dangerous. So I did super low dose of it, but it was making me really, really sick in the process. I was losing tons of weight really fast, and it's tough on the liver, tough on the kidneys, because you're pushing mercury out through the kidneys. And by the new year, I just kind of crashed out. I was really sick. Besides, I came down with some sort of just kind of general infection, flu type of whatever, and was feeling so run down. So I took a break for all of January, most of February, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to start ALA, which is alpha lipoic acid, which is a type of chelator, which is funny because a lot of people just take it as a general supplement. If you've ever tried to take alpha lipoic acid and had a negative reaction to it, it's quite likely possible that you have mercury issues, because it will, like if you're just taking it as a regular supplement, it won't really work well as a chelator. It'll just move the mercury around and make you a little sick. But anyways, so I started that, did one round, and it wasn't terrible, which surprised me. And then I took like 6-7 days break, I think, before doing this next round. And I had like a big surge of energy, really clear thinking. My memory's a little bit better these last couple days. I wasn't planning on going to the gym while I was chelating, but yesterday I woke up from a nap in my DMT session and just felt like, let's go. I had tons of energy, so I went, and I didn't do like a really big workout. I just did some upper body. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited because I'm like, oh, maybe we're over the worst of the worst at this point and finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel. So in some ways I don't want to ramp myself up too much because it's likely that I'll have some sort of setback come up at some point. I mean, that's just the nature of healing when you're dealing with something major like this, but I'm really excited. I ordered a hair test, to check for mineral derangement. So with mercury, you can't, like, after 3 months after exposure, you'll never know the total volume in your body. And even then, it's only a 3-month window if you do like a regular mercury test. So you won't know from past exposure how much volume is actually stored in your body. But you can do a test for mineral derangement. So mercury deranges the mineral storage in your body in a semi-predictable way. So I ordered a hair test for it, and I was going to do it back in January, and then just never got around to it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll wait until I start the next bit of chelation, just kind of to see like how bad is my mineral derangement still. So I need to have a friend help me cut some of my hair to send away for that. So if I get the results back, I'll let you guys know. Dora got a shave, a haircut, and a shower, but she's kind of shy today, and she is hiding in the front seat. You guys don't know how good it feels to just sit down and eat some raw ground beef. It's so delicious. Yeah, I am that weirdo. 100%. I don't know why, but like the way that it's, the texture of it when it's ground like this always reminds me of spaghetti, because it's like almost like spaghetti noodles and sauce, but it doesn't have that texture. Let's see, what else? I'm planning on doing a 2-day ayahuasca retreat in May. It's probably been 15 years, maybe about 15 years since I did ayahuasca, and so I'm really excited about this. It's similar but different from DMT, like doing NN-DMT. It's very different from doing bufo, which is 5-MeO. And it's much longer. So it's like a 6 to 8 hour journey versus smoking DMT can be like 15, 20 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more, just depending on how fast the your MAO enzymes break it down. So I'm also excited because I'm slowly assembling like a squad of people to go with me. A bunch of friends have expressed that like we want to come with you on this journey. We want to be part of it and heal and grow, and it has me so excited that I'm surrounded by people that want to become better and healed and explore themselves and the universe, and that has me really excited. Like I feel like I'm on the right path. Like, oh, okay, all right, people aren't resisting, my weird ideas anymore. They're like, yeah, 100%, and we want to support you and we want to come with you and be part of it. Yeah, when last weekend on the trip, it kind of reminded me a bit of like Inception, where they go into the dream and they create, they have an architect that creates the dream, and I felt like the architect of my reality during that, where my thoughts and my feelings shaped the people that we interacted with and the weather, even where we ended up wandering, because we really didn't have any plans. We just kind of wandered around randomly, but always found ourselves exactly where we wanted and needed to be. And yeah, I don't know, it was very lovely. But related, because of that, I could see that if somebody was feeling very dark and negative, any type of thoughts or feelings going into it, that could also shape their reality and they could have a really bad trip. So I went into it feeling very excited and happy and looking forward to it and upbeat, and I think that played a big role in shaping it. So yeah, there was this one moment where it was just tears, just a wall of tears coming down. I couldn't stop them. And, I was like, oh, I'm all twisted up inside. So, working on untwisting myself. My friend asked me, what did you mean by that when you're all twisted up inside? So, well, I feel like all of my natural reactions to things are the opposite of what they should be. Like everything's all twisted up instead of being logical and ordered and natural. It's fighting against nature all up inside of me. So I think it's slowly unwinding, though. I'm looking forward to having it completely cleaned up. You guys, were almost done with this, I swear. It was 1 pound back. Which, a 1 pound pack, let's see, should be I think it's like 90 grams of protein. Something like that. Oh, so that's a big thing that's been coming up lately in conversations about carnivore and all that. It's like, it should not be high protein. You should not be eating a high protein diet, whether you're doing carnivore or not carnivore, or keto or not keto. Like, it doesn't matter. It should not be high protein. It should be moderate protein, which is the amount of protein you need for your body mass, which will change depending on how big of a person you are. So like for me, about 100 grams of protein in a day is the ideal for me. And then you should be eating either fat or carbs for your energy. And so if you're doing keto, you eat fat. You eat a lot of fat. It should be high fat. If you're not eating keto and you prefer to use carbohydrates as your energy source, then it should be high carb, low fat. But if you eat high protein, one, it raises your blood sugar. Diabetics who have good doctors understand this because they've been educated on it, that if you're a diabetic, you should not be eating high protein because it can influence your blood sugar. And, you know, the exact amount of protein depends on your lean mass, really. So, like for a small person would be more affected by eating a pound of ground beef versus a big person, and etc. That's a very simple way of describing it, but it does put more stress on your kidneys if you're overeating protein. And again, how much stress it's putting on them. For some people, it doesn't really matter. For other people, it might be a big deal if their kidneys are already compromised, etc. So it's just one more variable in there. You can get protein poisoning. You can actually get sick and die from eating too much protein. And that's relative to the amount of fat and carbohydrate you're taking in. So, from what I read, it's the ratio of protein to carbs or fat should be 35% or less of your total calories. So, if you're going over 35% consistently, you're putting yourself at risk for protein poisoning. Yeah, that's something that's come up a lot lately. It's like a lot of people talking about, oh yeah, high protein, but they don't necessarily, they haven't been educated enough to really conceptualize what that means. What is high protein? And I think what a lot of it is actually like high protein relative to people eating the SAD diet, maybe, where they're not getting enough protein, but their protein is still much lower relative to the amount of carbohydrates or fats that they're eating. And so then they think, oh, I got to eat high protein, and so then they just start throwing in tons of protein and they go overboard, and you can make yourself sick doing that too. So that's also a big reason why most carnivores that aren't really tracking their macros are probably not in ketosis, because if you overeat protein, you're affecting your blood sugar and you're keeping yourself out of ketosis. And why, if you're a diabetic and you're doing carnivore and you're not seeing your numbers improve, that is probably something to look at limiting your protein intake to no more than 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So anyways, just a little end diatribe on that. You can take it however you will. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to work. It was nice catching up with you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Ciao!